It is early on a Sunday morning, and because we like keeping you on your toes, there's no consistency to win these starts. Welcome to Beerfield Fantasy Football. I am solo this week. I don't really remember if I'm supposed to be solo this week, so I may have just entirely forgotten about Dan, but no matter. At Hop BFF with two P's, Kris Hopper, and I am here to give you all of your Week 4 start-sit advice that you could ever possibly want to be 66% correct. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, take questions as they come in, but we'll go ahead and get started with some of the latest and greatest coming out really since we recorded on Monday. Starting off out in Arizona, DeAndre Hopkins expected to be good to go. He had some ankle issues over the week, but shouldn't be an issue. Chris Carson's dealing with the knee injury. He's going to play. Meanwhile, Carlos Hyde is going to be a true game-time decision with the shoulder injury. Real good chance Seattle's up in this one early, which will limit passing upside, but should help the running game. So especially if Carlos Hyde doesn't play, I'm plugging Chris Carson in with confidence. I know that there's some tendency to pull off of that, and because of the injury throughout the week, but I'm not in that court. Kareem Hunt dealing with a groin injury. He's going to play Week 4 versus Dallas. So, plus matchup there, especially for Hunt, who should be more involved than Chubb in the passing game. Cam Newton tested positive for COVID-19. He's going to miss this week, potentially next week in Denver. That means what is dead may never die, and Brian Hoyer is going to get the start. That's seriously going to hurt N'Keal Harry. I wouldn't expect it to impact the running game too much. You're still going to start Edelman. It just temper expectations there. And because of that positive test, the Patriots-Chiefs has been moved to Monday night. Will still count in Week 4, but plan accordingly. Not that you really, have to plan for much there, but right now that game is being played on Monday night. So Tuesday was in consideration for a while, but this morning it seemed pretty solidified after the Patriots returned negative test. Chiefs still need to return a full slate of negative tests, but Patriots are good there. Titans have 18 positive cases in their organization, so their game against the Steelers has been moved to Week 7. Plan accordingly for that. Morning, Alex. So, going to be treated like a bye week, I'd assume, in most places. So just, be prepared to plug in other players that aren't the Titans or the Steelers. It's not nearly as bad as what you get in some regular bye weeks. So, plan accordingly for that one. All Saints players who tested positive initially last night have come back and tested negative today, so they are set to play against the Lions. Mike Burton, the fullback, had a positive test. There was some concern for Alvin Kamara. As of this morning, though, everything there looks to be good to go, and that will be business as normal. Also in that game, both Saints starting quarterbacks, Marshawn Lattimore and Janoris Jenkins, are not playing. So start Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones with confidence there because, not good when you're down your top two corners. Terry McLaurin's going to play through a thigh issue for the Washington Shower Curtains. Joe Mixon expected to play through a chest issue. Cam Akers going to miss this week with a rib injury that makes Darrell Henderson Jr., who's gotten the bulk of the work, and almost must start in this case. Alan Lazard placed on IR midweek. He's going to undergo core muscle surgery. That's a bump to Marquez Valdez-Scantling's value. Robert Tonyan also could pick up some of the slack there, but Devontae Adams should be back this week. He's technically questionable, practiced in full on Thursday and Friday, so Devontae Adams is expected to play. Russell Gage, good to go for Atlanta after being in concussion protocol. Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley are both listed as questionable for Monday night. Both Ridley and Jones did get in limited practice on Thursday and Friday, but what you want to watch for there is make sure you have backup options. If Russell Gage is still floating around out there on waivers, go for it. This helps with the Patriots and Chiefs being moved because you have a few more options to plug in if either Julio or Ridley does not play. With them both getting in limited practices and the game not being until Monday, I fully expect that, both guys should be good to go, but you do want to have backup options just in case. Also, if you still can plug those guys into your flex and give yourself a little bit more flexibility if you do happen to make an emergency start over Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley. You may not always be able to. I have a situation where my best play is to start, 3 running backs plus my normal wide receiver allotment, so I can't really, play with the flexes on this game, but if you can. Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman's been placed on IR after undergoing surgery. Chark, McLaurin, Gage, or Sanders in half PPR. Let's break that one down. So DJ Chark hasn't exactly seen a ton of target volume or a ton of efficiency. He's kind of made it work. It is a good matchup, though. Terry McLaurin coming out with a thigh injury gets a tougher matchup against the Ravens. Russell Gage has been very, very good and obviously gets the bump if Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley doesn't play. But, you're kind of betting at that point that happens. Is that... Okay, I see the E. Emanuel Sanders, again, hasn't necessarily been fantastic given limited opportunity. Him and Traquan Smith have kind of traded off without Jared Cook. I could see that being viable. Probably for me, it's McLaurin at the top of that, just given how good he has been. Baltimore's not a great matchup, but Steven Sims is out, and I don't really know where else they're going to go, and I do expect them to be playing from behind. Should at least be volume there for Terry McLaurin. Behind that, probably Gage, Chark, Sanders in that order, but I'm leaning Terry McLaurin there, Kenny. All right, back to it. Michael Pittman, core surgery. He's going to miss time. So as far as that goes, he kind of was the most productive Colts wide receiver. So T.Y. Hilton might see a little bit of a bump there, but I don't really trust Colts wide receivers with Phillip Rivers. Matt Stafford or Jared Goff. Again, Stafford against the Saints without their top 2 cornerbacks is really enticing. Rams could go up early against the Giants, which limits Goff's upside. I'm going Matt Stafford this week, especially given that Jenkins and Lattimore are both not going to play. Saints can keep up with the Lions. They have the offense to do that. I like his game script a bit more than Goff's against the Giants, just because I think that the Rams are going to go up early in that one, and Goff's not going to have to throw the ball 30 times. So, yeah, give me Matt Stafford. Jared Cook is going to miss this week for the Saints, as I just mentioned, so a little bit more available target volume there. Adam Troutman will get the start. We've seen both Sanders and Traquan Smith kind of scuffle a little bit and eat into each other's work. There's not really an alpha there. So, I'm not really moving anything for that. I mean, you might see a little bit go the way of Smith or Sanders, but haven't seen one break out another. Is Brian Hill on the better end of a timeshare and slowly replacing Gurley? That is an interesting question. As bad as Atlanta has been, the running game hasn't been a huge part. Now, Brian Hill, I think, has more replaced Ito Smith. As far as slowly replacing Gurley, maybe like super slowly, but we're not getting there yet. So, Brian Hill right now he's getting himself into an area where there is some flex value to it. As far as a full replacement, it's something to watch. It's trending the right direction for sure. As far as the uncertainty about the Chiefs-Pats game, I'm making that gamble. So it came out this morning that the Patriots returned a clean slate of tests. The Chiefs player that tested positive was Jordan Teamu, who's a practice squad guy, former Battlehawks quarterback, by the way, but practice squad guy. So, Chiefs are expected to potentially return a full slate. The NFL seems really confident that game is going to happen on Monday at this point. So, I'm holding and just plugging in. Again, it's like a bye week if something does happen there, but with it being Monday night, it's a lot tougher. So I'm personally holding on, though, and just plugging in. Now, as far as Patriots players go, the fact that Cam Newton isn't playing already has me off of anybody not named really Edelman or Sonny Michel, I guess, at this point, and James White. So Cam's still positive. Yes, Cam is on the COVID IR list. He is for sure not playing this week, and it came out this morning he's in danger of missing week 5. Half PPR, Kareem Hunt or Ronald Jones. I'm going Kareem Hunt on that one. Reason being, I think that Browns-Cowboys, you're going to get into a little bit more of a high-scoring affair. I think that leads more towards Kareem Hunt over Nick Chubb, and I trust the talent level there and the efficiency more than I do Ronald Jones. As far as the Bucs go, Fournette is out, so that does help you there. But, I don't like the game script quite as much for Jones. Pick 2.5 PPR. J.K. Dobbins, Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks, or Zach Moss. Who do I have to? Sorry, Alex. Landry for sure in this one. Dobbins or Moss. I was more on Mark Ingram for the Ravens, but I like the game script for J.K. Dobbins. For Zach Moss against the Raiders, coming off of an injury, Singletary's been efficient. Yeah, we're going to flip a coin between Zach Moss and J.K. Dobbins here. Brandon Cooks hasn't seen enough target volume for me to want that, even though it is a good matchup against the Vikings. So we are going to go, where's my camera? Bottom of the bottle cap for Zach Moss, because he's bottom of the barrel, and top of the bottle cap for J.K. Dobbins. And it bounced off the microphone. And it is bottom of the bottle cap, so we're going Zach Moss on that one. I should have flipped the Bud Select cap for that instead of the Flying Dog. Deebo Samuel is back this week, so going to make his return but be limited. He's supposed to be on a pitch count now. That could be lying. That could be coach speak. You've been without Deebo the first couple weeks. I would wait on him and hold it, and let's just see how it goes, see how he does, see what his usage is. And then we'll revisit that one next week. But Deebo Samuel will be back this week. He's okay as an emergency play if you are in a situation where you've got Chiefs or Patriots or, and you're just not wanting to gamble with that. Deebo Samuel is not a bad plug-in, but I'm kind of sitting back on that one until we really see what happens. Shanahan doesn't always lie. We'll put it that way, although every coach lies a little bit. Raheem Mostert out again this week with a knee injury. Jeff Wilson and Jerick McKinnon are going to pick up that work. They split duties last week. That's after McKinnon left early with a knee injury. Both have flex value this week. The Eagles, without their top 3 wide receivers, this game could be close. It could very much tilt towards the 49ers as they've found a way to make that happen. So McKinnon, to me, is a little bit safer of a bet because he doesn't really get game scripted out completely in either scenario. But if it does go lopsided, Jeff Wilson, a little bit better play there. But again, both have flex value. George Kittle is also going to be back for the Niners, so they'll have another weapon in play. Henry Ruggs is doubtful to play this week for the Raiders. Hamstring injury still. Eagles, as I just mentioned, they're still without Arcega-Whiteside, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson. So Greg Ward is your floor, basically. Yep, no O-line and no receivers for the most part. So, and no Dallas Goedert either. So they're down to essentially Zach Ertz, Miles Sanders, and I guess Greg Ward as being the only people you're even remotely considering. And Miles Sanders, you got to cap expectations at this point because the O-line's essentially gone. Zach Ertz is really their best receiving option, so confidence there because Goddard's out for a little bit here, the fractured ankle. So, yeah, the Eagles are in bad shape. They're in a lot worse shape than I've seen a team be in a while here. So, hopefully they start getting some relief on the wide receiver front soon. But line front, that one's going to take a little bit longer. Duke Johnson, Will Fuller are both good to go for Houston. So I'm starting both. Yeah, Jalen Hurts and Taysom Hill. Jalen Hurts, I think if they continue to struggle, is not a bad plug-in, especially given the void of an O-line. And if Carson Wentz keeps getting killed week to week, he's not going to hold up anyway, and we will get to see Jalen Hurts. Mike Williams missing week 4 with a hamstring injury. That's pretty much like half of every other week in fantasy. And as I mentioned, Leonard Fournette is out against the Chargers, so Ronald Jones will get the bulk of that work. It's not an immediate plug-and-play for me, but it does help if you're in a situation where Ronald Jones is something that you potentially have to start. As far as weather, there are no real weather concerns. Everything appears to be clear. There's like a 39% chance of rain for Bucks Chargers, which isn't enough to upset me. So, and nothing new late breaking yet. So, I'll go ahead and wrap this one up, mostly because I'm moving on Thursday and I kind of got to go finish painting. Jack, what's up? Would you go AJ Green or Justin Jefferson? Also, David Johnson or Joe Mixon in PPR? So, AJ Green for me is firmly in timeout, just because he's playing worse than Tyler Boyd and potentially T. Higgins as well. So, yeah, I'm a little out there on AJ Green. I'm leaning Justin Jefferson. We said on the show earlier this week that we are chasing those points. I expect that game to be a shootout. I think they found something last week with Justin Jefferson that worked. So I am absolutely all over Justin Jefferson. As far as David Johnson or Joe Mixon goes, man, they're both going to be involved. Confidence in Joe Mixon is low, but if he's going to produce, this is a good week for him to do it. But I'm going David Johnson. I think that there's going to be enough passing volume to sustain a good floor for David Johnson. I think that from a actual rushing perspective, that he'll be okay. And game script could go in their favor if the Vikings offense comes out lethargic like they did in the first 3 weeks. And Matt, the Tampa Bay super team reminding you of the Lakers team with Malone, I'm completely on board with that. There's also a couple Yankees teams that come to mind that where hey, this is going to be amazing, and then it was just kind of okay. And that's kind of how I feel about Tampa Bay. They're 2-1, which is fine, but it hasn't been all sunshines and rainbows and walking all over everybody like you would have expected. So, yeah. Should I take risk with Mahomes or pick one of the QBs? Goff, Fitz, Drew Brees. So, Fitz and Goff, I'm a little down on. Drew Brees, you can probably start over Mahomes without a huge drop-off this weekend anyway. But, yeah, no, I would think that you're probably okay going Brees over Mahomes if you don't want to take the risk. As I've mentioned a couple times, I think that New England and Kansas City are going to play, and the NFL seems confident in that, given that they came out and announced Monday as game time. So, New England returned a full complement of negative tests, so we're just waiting on Kansas City to do the same. And their infected player was Jordan Ta'amu, who's a practice squad quarterback. So, I think that they do play on Monday. I do like Mahomes a little bit more than Breeze, as I do most weeks. So, you can make the gamble, but if you don't want to make the gamble, if you want to play it safe, I think you're okay going with Drew Brees. So, all depends on you as the player, but, I think Brees is fine. Personally, for me, though, I'd gamble it because I think they're going to go. Gesicki or Hawk in full PPR? Probably Gesicki this week. I think that with Kenny Golladay back, that cuts into Hawkinson's workload a little bit. I expect the Dolphins to have to throw about 60 times in this one to try to catch up and stay up. So I think that Mike Gesicki is a fine play this week. All right, give it another minute or two for questions to come in here, and before we head off on our own ways until Monday. Speaking of which, programming note, regular podcast will be on Monday evening this week. That drops sometime between Monday and Wednesday pretty regularly. If you're a first-time listener, first off, welcome. Happy to have you guys in here. Subscribe. Ring the bell. I hate asking people to do that, but it's the only way you're going to get notified when we go live, because Sunday we can pop onto the live stream anywhere between really 9:30 as I did today all the way up to 11 or 11:30, just depending on schedules and who's available. As far as regular shows throughout the week, again, depends on schedules. Could happen anytime between Monday through Wednesday. At any point between 5 and 8 to 9 o'clock, we've been known to do some late shows as well. So everything streams live on YouTube. If you hit the bell when you subscribe, you'll get notified when we go live. Can hang out, interact. We're always around to answer questions and help out. If you missed the regular show, that does drop everywhere you can find podcasts. Beerfield Fantasy Football, that's going to be Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Music, Google Play, wherever. It goes everywhere. So, be sure to do that as well. That being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Beerfield at Beerfield FF on Twitter. I'll try to keep an eye on that throughout the morning. At HotBFF on Twitter, a little bit easier for me to keep an eye on. If you come up with anything, or there's any surprise inactives in the next 2 hours, which is liable to happen because I had to go so early today. And we will catch you guys next week. Thank you.